One guy I talk to just about as much as anyone is my radio partner, Dwayne Hamlette. We do a lot of football games together on 102.3. Groove102.com. When the Heritage Pioneers kick off, you always can hear myself and Coach Q. Coach Q and I start with a going back episode. We're going to have a lot more going back and going down the road. Dwayne Hamlette has been down the road a time or two. He's been a Dogwood, he's been a Seminole, and he just knows sports. He knows life. He knows everything. He knows parenting. Dwayne Hamlette, what does he not know? He knows barbecue, too. And we'll talk about that in future episodes. It's Dwayne Hamlette right here on the Sports Buffet podcast. You'll hear him on football games with me a lot, but now you get to hear the man behind Coach Q, who's been mentioned on several interviews that I've done, Mr. Dwayne Hamlette. Let's talk about little Dwayne. When did little Dwayne knew he wanted to coach?
There was no little Dwayne that knew he wanted to coach. It was an older Dwayne. Like, this wasn't, I grew up and this was something I saw family do or anything. I came back home from Concord College, and my good friend Tony Miller at the time was coaching with Brad at the high school. And I heard that, and I'm like, I was telling this dude what to do in game 12 a few years ago. So, like, if he's coaching, I can coach. So that's kind of what sparked it.
So when you're playing, you have no thoughts of the future. You're just enjoying Friday night and
just
Saturday
playing football and loving everything about football. Never once thought about coaching.
Do you have a biggest memory when you play football, or one that sticks out to you? Maybe not biggest. From your playing days at William Campbell.
Good or bad?
I'll take either.
Take either. Usually I always had this conversation with coaches. The bad usually sticks out more than the good. The bad was losing to Graham in the state semifinals 7-6. And like, we felt like we had a team. We were undefeated at the time. We felt like we had a team that could win it all. And we went up to Graham and lost 7-6. And I remember the screenplay to the right side. They got called back and all of that. So that was a memory that sticks out.
Now, your high school head coach the whole time is Kevin Saunders, right?
Kevin Saunders, yeah.
And I think Coach Saunders and I, when we talked, he kind of has, I don't want to say recurring nightmares about that one, but like that one stings a lot more than other ones to him.
Well, I mean, I feel like, when you feel like you have a team that and not you're expected to win it,
right,
but you feel like you have a team capable enough to win it and some things don't go right. And, that call, like, changed the game, but at the same time, if we play a little bit better, doing some things here or there, like, we win the game still right. So I don't want to blame it on that call, but also, like,
it didn't help.
It didn't help at all.
We talk about this a lot when we broadcast about how good Central Virginia is with high school football. How good was Central Virginia with high school football when you played? Because for one, the Seminole District, there were no out-of-district games.
No.
It was week 1 to week 10.
Yeah, it was 11 teams in the Seminole, and I just felt like back then, not that kids aren't bigger, faster now. I just felt like they seem like the lines at Amherst and things seem way bigger back then than they do now. I just think it was a harder district, one, because everybody was prepared and the coaches were prepared. Like, you had great coaches up and down the Seminole, from even
right,
the teams that didn't finish above
right,
500. Like, you had some really quality coaches, and like every weekend and week out, even though if you may have won, you knew you were in a fight, even if you did come out and win against some of those bottom teams.
And Coach Saunders and I talked about it. I mean, you talked about bigger guys. I remember like a Robert Adams sticking out, because Robert was a giant. For back then, he was a giant. He's still good size.
Right.
Obviously.
Well, and I remember before Jefferson Forest built their field house, they had to come from the gym or wherever up and come down the hill. And I remember the first time I saw it, and, it's 30 of us and, it's 60 of them, and they were marching down in the all black uniforms with the click clack. And not that I was intimidated, but that was like we're about to prepare for we're about to go to war. So like, that was a really cool aspect. And I always felt like Amherst had big guys. Amherst had big running backs, let alone like their offensive and defensive line. So like, they had size like all over the place.
And not to make this, William Campbell is probably still a single A size school at that point. Amherst is
4A.
What they are now, if not even higher.
Yes.
And
JF as well.
And William Campbell competes with all those schools night in, night out on Fridays, and wins more than they lose.
Yeah, well, and you had Rustburg at that time too. That had Paul Wheeler. That had they always got a Scott or a Davis or somebody. And they didn't have Danny Davis when I played. He was years earlier, but they always had a Scott or a Davis or someone like that, like in their backfield. They were really, really talented. And, those are rivals back. Those are
Right.
rivals back then. Russberg and William Campbell played each other every year. So,
And that's a right down the street
yeah,
rivalry a little bit. By the way, it didn't take that long to bring Danny Davis up in a podcast.
He's a GOAT for sure, man.
Okay, so good. You gave me a bad memory earlier. What's a good memory from high school that sticks out? Is it even game related?
A good memory from high school, man.
You gave me the Graham, which is not a good memory.
No, I played base. I have a lot of memories. I know we've done football and football podcasts, but I have a lot of good memories tied to just baseball.
Right.
Just
you goofed on baseball so many times.
Yeah, I love baseball. Was my first love. I talked to Pastor PJ about it all the time. He was a standout football player, but he said baseball was his first love, as was mine. That was the first thing I grew up playing. Was Little League baseball. And I just have so many memories tied to Coach Abel and our warm-ups and playing games. I remember we were undefeated. We lost one game to Liberty, and Stanton River came in. It was raining. Not raining hard enough to cancel the game, but raining hard enough. They got off the bus because we were really good. We're slaughter ruling teams. And they got off the bus hooping and hollering. I guess they thought the rain was going to help them, beat us. And I think we hit 22 to 25 singles or something and slaughter ruled them. And I just remember how excited they were. And I knew in the back of my mind what I didn't think slaughter rule, but I knew we were going to put it on them. I didn't know we'd hit 20 singles to do it, but that was a really fun memory I still have.
And you had multiple Coach Abels. This is Percy.
I only had one Coach Abel.
Well, I mean, yeah, but there were multiple ones.
Yeah, there are a ton. Yeah, Percy Abel.
Okay.
I had Percy Abel as my head baseball coach in high school.
And later became the coach at Lynchburg.
Yeah, later became the coach at Lynchburg College. Just recently retired as of 4 years ago, maybe 5 years.
Yeah, something. It hadn't been, but so
yeah,
long.
it hadn't been over a decade.
We find out that we have connections. We've known each other for a long time now. I remember. I think the first time you really gave me some love is that time where we rode the bus, I want to say to Sussex, and Bob Alice is just dripping sweat here and there. But then I find out later that when you're a student at William Campbell, you are an office aide for one of my relatives.
Yeah.
I was going to say at the time, she's still one of my relatives, by the way. But what type of school was William Campbell growing up? I mean, everybody knows your name type of thing?
Yeah, and I see people out now from Brookmere or Gladys or even Naruna, and even if I don't know them, we know some of the same people. We know some of the same people, and I love going to that. Maybe not at the time I realized it, but looking back on the experience at William Campbell, it was such a small school. Everybody was kind of intertwined with each other, and I remember Demetri Payne, whose son plays at LCA, Robert Payne, great offensive lineman. She was a volleyball and basketball player, but I remember during basketball season, we'd get a little fan group. And we'd go cheer them on and whatever. And even then, but years later, she came out and said how much that meant to her. Cause we were all just kind of intertwined in each other's life. People showed up at baseball and football games and all that. It was really cool.
How big was the line for William Campbell in terms of
not big?
I have family in Rustburg, but once you get to cause let's go with some old country trivia here a little bit. My relatives lived off of Red House.
Yeah.
Which,
over closer to Hat Creek.
Keep going straight and you'll eventually kind of almost run into Gladys, so to speak. So where does the line go for William Campbell?
Honestly, I don't know.
Okay.
I have no idea because I know I was at the southern end, more southeastern end of the county where I have I'm 2 miles from Charlotte County border, 6 miles from Appomattox County border. So I was way out from that. I was a country guy at my, even though William Campbell's in the country, I was even more of the country guy than the people that were to some of the people there.
I talked with Coach Hudnall when he coached at William Campbell, helping out with football. You can easily drive past William Campbell and miss it, and there's no really good spot to turn around on
unless you know where it is and you're looking for the signs and all of that stuff. You can go right past it. You could be in Brookmeal at the light looking for William Campbell, but you're 6 miles past it.
Okay, so talk a little bit about any more good memories from baseball aside from Stan River coming in that time.
I mean, no, man. I mean, we were just so talented. I had the privilege of playing on some really talented teams with some talented people. And, you just associate with knowing going into games, being confident that like you were going to win. Not cocky from that aspect, but just knowing you had enough talent that if you did what you're supposed to, that like more times than not, you would come out victorious. Also, I remember Scotty Scott, and I wasn't sophomore year. I was on varsity, but not playing. I just remember his arm. And I just remember him like being crouched down from the hind catcher position and just throwing a rocket laser to second base like nobody's business. That was probably the strongest arm I had seen like up to that point. And I was just amazed with just how effortlessly he like did that. And I was like, this guy is super talented.
So we've got William Campbell, we've got Alta Vista, we've got Nelson County, the quote unquote small schools,
mm-hmm. Buckingham, yeah.
I'm trying to think of the other small schools in the Seminole.
That was it.
Apple.
Oh yeah, Apple was in at one point, but they were so back and forth. They were in and out.
They hopped a lot too. Yeah.
But they were the small Nelson, Buckingham.
That's
William
not a
Campbell.
fun trip from William Campbell to Nelson.
No, or the Buckingham. Like none of those trips are fun, and they're long, and being. It's 15 minutes for me to get to high school where I lived in Brookneal or Hat Creek, and like getting on the bus and going to Nelson County or Buckingham or even JF or Liberty seemed like forever.
And people complain about travel now. And I'm not trying to like say the people from Buckingham or Appomattox are bad people, by the way.
Right.
It's just a bad trip because people in the Dogwood, which we'll get to in a moment because you had Dogwood experience as well. Dan River to Nelson is probably the farthest trip I can think of.
Yeah.
Dan River didn't come into the Dogwood until a little bit later. It used to be Chatham to Nelson.
Right.
For a while was the quote unquote worst in terms of the distance. But then Dan River comes in, and so anybody that wants to complain about distance.
And Tunstall was in the Dogwood the first
start,
at the start when it first started that first year, Tunstall was in there. So, I mean, I don't know how. I think Dan River is probably still further than Tunstall, but like, you turn off at Chatham and go back in there a little bit. Just keep going. And, Country Boy, we had never been to any of these places. So anything outside of like maybe Gretna or going to Rustburg felt like a long bus ride.
Did you learn from your pre-coaching days that helped make you a better coach, and who'd you learn it from?
I just learned the point of consistency. And like each coach that I had only played basketball a year under Pat Pay, who was a great coach in his own right. How those guys did, well, looking back on it, not knowing then, but like show up every day, like just do your job. Like we're just talking about here with one of the employees, just show up every day and just do your job. And I also learned that from my dad. My dad worked at Arch Creek Foundry, which is an iron plant that made castings and all types of things. He'd wake up at 3:00 every day to be at work at 5 and like did it like clockwork and never complained or never did anything. And then came home and we worked chores and stuff on the farm, and he did it every day. So learning that consistency, like I look back on it, it was like, I was built through those coaches and learning from my dad on just be consistent and show up every day.
What type of farm do you have?
Well, we had a little bit of everything. It was more cattle farm. We had a pig farm, but had some agriculture or some corn and some wheat. Tobacco. We had some tobacco.
Where does being a quote unquote farm boy help you learn?
Like work. And like also like how to adjust.
Not just work, but hard work.
Hard work, right? Like in the sun, like it's 90 degrees outside, and like you can't take a break because you got to get the fence up, or you got to move the cows, or you got to sucker the tobacco, or pour the tobacco, or whatever. And like you just know that you had to get the job done, no matter what the elements provided for you. And it's the same thing today. Like I tell kids that I taught now, but used to coach. Like you may not feel great every day, but you need to show up and get it done. Like you're not going to everything in roses every day. You're going to come in here, but just show up and get it done no matter what you feel like.
And when my mom grew up on a farm, she said that picking tobacco might be one of the worst jobs ever.
Yeah. And it's not just the picking the tobacco. It's from growing it in the planting beds all the way through everything. Like, so it's from taking it from there all the way through.
Yeah. And, when I interviewed Bruce Abbott said if he has a dairy farm, and he said if you don't farm, the animals don't eat.
The animals don't eat.
There's that work expectation in there to where I don't think, the younger generation, not trying to be that guy that says, get off my lawn, but I don't think the younger generation sometimes gets it of some things you just got to do it because you got to.
Right. Well, and it's a lot of some of the younger generation has never been told no or how not to do anything. You're always allowed to do all the things that you want to do, and
Right.
people don't hold you accountable for anything. So you don't know how, whenever there's any adversity, you kind of don't have that perseverance to go through it. I played 3 sports, and I played one of the toughest coaches in the state. Kevin Saunders, like, he was hard to play for, but like, you did what he said, but you also learned how to persevere through some really tough situations, and not just during the game, but at practice and all the things that set you up better for life.
And the guy you coached with, he's not a pussycat either. Brad
Yeah,
Bradley.
I mean, it's the same. I mean, they went about it kind of different ways, but it's the same.
Right.
It's the same mentality. There are no excuses to show up and do your job, and you're expected to do your job.
And the day we're recording this interview, it's Coach Bradley Senior's, Larry Bradley's birthday.
His birthday, yeah, big birthday.
So, and obviously Brad's grandfather Burhead up at Graham. I think it's Coach Bradley's learned that old school mentality of you can't take those days off type of thing.
Yeah,
I think that's where it comes from.
Well, and and coaches, you don't necessarily have to reinvent yourself, but you do have to grow as you get older and coach. And I've seen Coach Bradley, from working with him at William Campbell to where he is right now. He's the same guy, but yet at the same time, like, he's not, right? He's still old school, but at the same time, there's a little give and take that 12 years ago, Brad Bradley wouldn't have done. And it's not the huge important things that he's taken on, discipline issues or any of that, but it's some of those things that he can have a little bit more leeway with that a younger Brad Bradley wouldn't even thought twice about having leeway with.
You coached a little basketball too.
Yeah,
Campbell.
I played it all, done it all, man. Jack of all trades.
Coached under Brian Bowles.
Brian Bowles, yeah, and Mike Cheek.
What'd you learn from Coach Bowles?
Oh, Bowles, man, statistician. Like, he was going to have, like, he was a student of the game, but like, he had plays down and he wanted to execute them, and he would just hammer them in until like they were executed. But like, when he called them in the game, we had been through it so much, he expect for it to be done like correctly. And he was one of those detail guys that had practice plan laid out from the start to the finish, and like there was no downtime. You get your water and stuff, but outside of that, like, everything was planned out on a daily basis.
In high school, you were an offensive lineman?
Yep. Offensive guard.
Defensive lineman, I assume. Because
if
you played one, you played the other.
Yeah, somewhat. And I played some defensive end, played some linebacker.
Kick?
Did some kicking.
Yeah, there we go.
Yeah.
So, see, I do listen when we do broadcast. So when you get to coaching, you're coaching receivers and DBs, or just DBs?
Yeah, when I first started, I was coaching receivers and DBs. Never played the position. Really didn't know. It's interesting. I had my shoulder separated my sophomore year, and had to sit out for 6 weeks. And I didn't understand what the wing tee was. I was a pulling guard. I knew my position and kind of knew what the line was doing, but I never knew all the fakes and all the things that were going on behind me until I had that time off, and I'm standing behind the huddle and behind the offense doing practice when my shoulder's injured. And I'm like, oh, it all clicked for me then, and it made even more sense for me, even more so, seeing the big picture. And I got so much knowledge, and it sounds weird, but I got so much knowledge from being off that 6 weeks than I probably would have participating in practice.
I hate to ask this question. I don't like to say, superlatives or anything like that, but who are some of the smarter guys you played with or knew of in high school?
Some of the smarter guys that
you talked about 6 weeks of basically observation.
Yeah, So Jake, and I didn't play a lot of defensive tackle because I was a more offensive guy, but just seeing our defense was really good back then. James Younger was one of the smartest guys, and we were really close. I saw him a couple weeks at Kroger ago. He was really, really smart. And like, he was a middle linebacker, him and JP per year. And I could always see them calling out the defense, but also telling everybody what to do. I remember we played JF and the defensive tackle got hurt. And this is my sophomore year. Freshman year. And like, I got in for a couple plays. That's when Poindexter was a senior. They beat us 34-33 or 34-32, something like that. But I remember JP tapping me on the side of where to go, because I kind of had no
Right.
clue. Like when I was in there, like I was paying attention in practice, but like it was such a big game and like I really didn't know where to go. I just remember him like tapping me on where to go, and that was really, really cool.
And I don't mean this to be rude towards anybody that's ever played
Uh-oh.
football, but the difference in being football smart and book smart, it's not exactly the same thing. Might not be a valedictorian in the classroom, but if you're a linebacker having to call out reads, you might be the valedictorian on that football
Yeah,
team.
100%. And it's like, just like the center on offense, you kind of got to know what everybody was doing. Uh, I got a knowledge, and not to call myself smart, but I could play left guard. I predominantly play left guard, but I could play right guard, play a little bit of left tackle too. But I just, in my mind, I could switch the plays that it made sense to me. I don't know if it made sense to anybody else, but like it made sense to me, which really, really helped me.
And that left tackle is the protector
Yeah.
of the quarterback because 99% of quarterbacks are going to be right-handed. And if you're the left tackle, you're protecting that blind side.
Yeah, you're protecting that blind. That's a lot of pressure.
Good. I mean, did you like it?
Yeah, I mean, I wasn't there for a long time.
Right.
Just like people getting injured, and I was there for a short bit. And I guess like I was it's just next man up. And you back then, man, you just do what you like. Coach said, play here, you just play.
Right.
Because one, I just wanted to play. I never wanted to come off the field ever.
When you're coaching later on at the high school level, did you tell the left tackle? I mean, maybe not you, but did any of the coaches say, "Hey, this is kind of a pressure spot," or was that? Again,
No, I don't think one. In what I learned in coaching, you never want to give kids any type of pressure, any more added pressure
Than
than
they
what
already
they
have.
already have, right? Because I know for me, when I was playing, I was the hardest on myself. I had already, if I messed up, yeah, coaches are yelling at me and stuff, but I already knew I messed up, and I was trying to self-correct it. So I never wanted to, going through coaching, I never wanted to add more pressure to a kid, because I felt like even you go to little league sports and stuff now, you got the parents yelling from the stands, or even in high school sports, telling the kids what to do, and they already feel enough pressure. They got the coach trying to tell them what to do, families trying to tell them what to do, and they don't know like who to listen to. So I didn't want to be that voice, another voice in their head that they didn't pay attention or added more pressure.
I don't need exact dates, but how long have you coached for?
I coached 16 years.
How long you been married for? Gosh, I shouldn't ask
17
that one.
years. 17 years.
And you've been in the classroom for?
Less than 14 years.
Did one of those avenues help another, you feel like? Did marriage help coaching? Did coaching help marriage? Did coaching help teaching? Did teaching help marriage? Anything like that?
I mean, I think they're all kind of intertwined, because at the end of the day, it's all about relationships. Whether it's relationship with your wife, relationship with your students, or relationship with your players.
And I forgot to even bring up parenting.
Yeah, I mean,
how much that all helps.
Well,
too.
I mean, it's the same thing. Like I have two sons, and like while they're the same, they're both different. So I had to parent them a little bit different, and parent them. It's kind of like coaching, right? Some players you can pat on the butt and be like, "Hey, great job," give them, a pat on the head. But some of them need some hard coaching and needs to be yelled at, and that's how they become better. So you just have to learn your players, and that comes from relationships.
We'll do this again, but in closing for now, define relational to me by the Dwayne Hamlette dictionary. You kind of hit on it a little bit, but give me a definition of how would you determine relational?
Relational to me, meaning being able to communicate with whoever it is and wherever they're at that time. And that relationship may change. Where I'm talking to you 3 years ago could be completely different now than it was 3 years ago. So it's always adapting to wherever that person is that you're trying to communicate to on a constant basis.